Into the setting sun. Kurt Brown saying, Rambo, I'm going to tell you about something. My memory was knocked out for 31 years. 31 years, it seems, in reality. Or soon after the events in 1983, my memory began to fade or was manipulated out on basically what amounted to a silent nuclear war. Everybody was jumping ship. We had been told a nuclear bomb had gone off at sea. They were using the minimum manning concept. The captain even giving me the option to jump off and swim to the shore at San Clemente Island, off the California coast, just a few miles. We'd been going back and forth for at least 24 hours, it seemed. Drudgery. They'd taken me off navigation duties and they were just scanning the bottom, they said. The captain told me, he said, you can jump off here. I didn't know he was serious. We were about to depart for the deeper seas, apparently on a northwesterly path. I'm not sure where we went exactly. That's where I seem to remember us departing from, in that direction from San Clemente Island going to deeper ocean. We weren't that far out, only out of 2 or 3 days. We only traveled a maximum of 30 to 35 knots. I was hit with a nuclear blast. I was at the bridge wing. It was at night. We'd been traveling from San Clemente area for probably, I'd say at least 36 hours, perhaps 54. The captain came up to the top of the bridge on the bridge wing, and I followed him out on the bridge wing. There was a blast. I was ordered to take a shower by Petty Officer Colburn. Petty Officer Colburn then was in contact with a signalman with other ships. He was signaling with another ship in the distance. I went down to the shower. They told me to shower. I didn't shower long enough, obviously, because I went to bed. My crotch was burning in my legs. You can't ever wash it off once you get hit with it. Like being hit with ticky-tack. You can't see it. I have not been compensated for this, although I do have a request online. I've been tortured many times. It seems when I go to get health care. I don't know why it is. The government likes to call many of us crazy or insane if we have reported anything such as what I'm reporting, which was a nuclear event off the California coast in 1983, and they put me into the banking wars of deregulation in 1999. The wars actually broke out at the FDIC Improvement Act in 1992, when the FDIC regional director was killed in his office in San Francisco and called suicide. They never call it the war for money, large sums of money. Thomas Crane Wells, banking frauds judge, killed, called not death by banking frauds criminals, but by anarchists, little nobodies with guns. Then there was Hunter S. Thompson, journalist, killed in 2005. I spoke with him in 2004. I tried to relay information regarding a blast I saw on December 7th, 2004 at the line of Brahman and Blackwell, Oklahoma. It was a blast of it was like a aircraft coming down, like looking out the window at a long distance, I don't know, maybe a half mile, but it blew all the way to where I was located on the road, going from Oklahoma City to Wichita. Who else has strange deaths? There's so many of them. Without any decent work right now, I'd like to make a movie deal. I've had maybe an invention or two, but I do remember Petty Officer Colburn getting into a fight at the enlisted club after that event at sea with the Brits, claiming it was the Brits who inked us, as he put it. We were hit with radiation. The funny thing about radiation is it doesn't hurt the sailors so much sometimes. What happens is it hits you in your testicles and it'll mess up your future children, if you have any, and possibly their children. One thing that I'm concerned about is the feeding of radioactive seafood to our children. If you think about their sex cells, meaning their gametes, or what's going to create the ovaries and the sperm, will be hit by that radiation. They compare their size to ours and think of being hit by a radioactive isotope. It's like being hit with a spear cutting through you in a way, or being pressed against you. I see it as a cutting through, a cauterizing, cutting through and then a cauterizing. A horrible thing, and on the genetic level. Nothing can be done about it. You kind of limit the amount of seafood you give to your little ones. Oh, man. Anyway, I have thought about, and I was terminated from the FDIC in 2000, it was in 2000, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I used to have a rant on that, but I'd forgotten about the nuclear war from 1983. This nuclear stuff makes it go much further. And I also remember an event at sea, and I'm not sure about this because I was actually tortured in 2001 and 2004, it seemed. I was tortured. I actually had a stroke. But when I was hit, I went down below, was laying in the bunk thinking, I was in the enlisted bunk sleeping areas, bunks that are stacked on top of each other, row after row, just crammed into a protected part of the ship in the center. I was laying there thinking, I wonder if I'm going to wake up in the morning and be dead. You know, I wake up to intense heat or anything like that, such as a nuclear blast. And I seem to remember after this year, I remember waking up, I was in intense heat, and I heard someone else's voice. I also heard it was like a rumble and a roar in intense heat. And I remember screaming to God. I said, God, please to make it stop. And it just like the heat was so intense. I feel like I was like just popped, but I passed out. Now the question is, how long were we at sea? They don't know. I don't know. I asked my girlfriend. She said I've been out for a month. I thought I'd only been out for 2 weeks. So how long was I unconscious when I went to sleep after I was hit? People think they can fight a war in this environment by themselves very often. They run around with their guns, their war paint. There's no protection against any of it, really, because it gets in the food and water supply. What are you going to drink? What are you going to eat? What about those diseases that multiply, quantify, and change? I'm actually trained in genetics. I've studied nuclear physics since I was hit with that nuclear blast. I became very interested in nuclear physics, believe it or not. I was an accountant and auditor. I like to invent things. Sometimes things seem to invent themselves. So I don't even have to really work at it that hard. For instance, my Yu Zhendong, which would be a multi-use space shuttle or weapon. It could be used as a tool or weapon. Yu Zhendong. It's like you could also turn a AC unit into a nuclear blast or small blast, which is what I think happened at OKC and NYC, Oklahoma City, when that federal building was blown up in the 90s. NYC when the Twin Towers were knocked down. Just conjecture. My stepfather was an AC repairman, and on my first journey to go work with him, and I first met him at 12, I mentioned this thing looks like a bomb. It was a AC compressor. He said, yeah, one of these days they're going to make a nuclear blam out of this thing. I wish I could be the one who could sell shielding to stop it from happening. Maybe you can do it someday. He was a smart guy. He didn't have that much sense back then. I wish I worked with him every day. You're better off as an AC and electric guy than you are as an accountant, in my opinion, after what happened to me at the FDIC. I was actually a journalist and an accountant, but I was an accountant at the FDIC, and I was terminated 1 year. But in the time that I was there, I think I saw what appeared to be the continuation of the war from 1983. I was very concerned about switching of employees and what goes on behind closed doors. I think we had men killed at Terminal Island, Long Beach, and at sea. The smokestacks were really billowing that day before we left for the nuclear blast zone in 1983. This is Kurt Brown, alias St. Rambone. I could certainly use a job. I like to go to Hollywood. I like to go to Bollywood. I like to have a warehouse so I could do my inventions. I have other inventions as well if you want to donate. I'm completely right-brained, they say. I think I was hit by radiation as a child, just like many others on the Gulf Coast. The Bay of Pigs is probably the Bay of radiation for a lot of people. Be careful how much seafood you feed your little snot, because there's probably radiation down at the bottom of the pot. This is Kurt Brown, St. Rambo Mobile Audit Club. You can Google YouTube St. Rambo videos.